There we go. All right. John, what is this? Session 37? 37, right?
37.
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing. All right, and I believe we are still on the slopes of Mount Tartaglia. After spending a couple days hunting, you guys have accumulated a fair amount of provisions. Enough to, right? I mean, come on. What do you got?
Yeah. Yeah. We had. I remember now. We're keeping them all in the saddlebags. Yeah, we have 14 rations stored up.
7 of you.
And that's I think after giving them the 6 that they would need to get down to Reuna.
Yeah, that's what I remember too.
So I think that 12, that 14 is for the 4 of us.
So
which is not bad. That's not bad. That's 3 days.
I did rewrite the forage move based on our experiences. So there's a little more. You'll get a little bit more than before when you do forage.
Cool.
That's what playtesting is for. But you haven't. Have you said farewell to those guys yet?
Well, we were talking about going up to the top of the mountain, and Father Ilka said he was going to come, and he made. He said that Paiviki was supposed to. I can't remember exactly the wording, but follow the spirit of the mountain for the next few days.
Oh, right. That was his. You were negotiating with him to come with you.
Yeah. And
he said yes, if you would do that. Yeah.
That she had to open her heart to the spirit of the mountain or something along those lines. And she agreed to it.
All right.
I think we were going to take them up with us to consult with the Hisi. I think we were interested in how we could cleanse the like shadow of Vihainen from the village. Do we actually know what's the name of the village that we just, got rid of Vihainen out of?
They call it Yirkane, which is Haivaman for Cliff Keep. It's Jyrkanne.
Yirkana. Kana.
I mean, who knows how you're actually supposed to pronounce it? I don't know. Yeah, so you're going to take all 3 of these guys with you? I mean, not maybe right up to the Hisi, but to the vicinity. Everybody's going to stick together for the time being?
Yeah.
That seems good.
Okay. Yeah. Then let's pick up there. It is, okay, let's see. Donna, will you roll 2d6 for me?
Oh, can I make a mechanical observation?
Yeah.
Totally unrelated to the story, but the other session where can't remember her name. Mirren went off to go meet up with Topias to make sure he was okay.
Yeah.
And Paiviki went to go check on the guy who was tied up to the tree, and we made some bad rolls, and then there was like Mirren had to roll for setting out, and then we had to roll for keeping or making camp.
Yeah.
And just as an observational thing, like the shit hit the fan because of some bad rolls. But then I was thinking, mechanically also, we made more rolls than we would have if we had stayed together.
Yep.
You know?
So inherently, don't split the party is built into the
Well, no,
mechanics.
I mean, it's like, if you think about it in story wise, you know,
Yeah.
maybe Topias was in danger. But if you think about it mechanically, maybe we wouldn't have made a roll.
Yeah.
But maybe you would have the game master might have said, well, yeah, Topias was in danger and something bad happened. It would have happened to him.
Right, but it would have had to come from a bad roll.
Yeah, sure.
I like no danger. Things don't get complicated or worse unless somebody rolls poorly, unless there's something already in motion.
Yeah.
Like we knew the hand was coming, right? So we knew that on a certain day the hand was going to get to Rayuna.
Yeah.
That's going to just happen because there's a countdown happening.
Right.
But yeah, that's a really great observation. It's very
It's just-
true. The more you roll, the more chance there is that
bad
something
stuff
bad,
can
yeah.
occur. And I remember when I was the judge for a game that I was playing with my friends, and my friend made this observation. She said, everything's so complicated. We just want to do this one thing, but like this bad thing leads to that bad thing, leads to that bad thing. And so it kind of like cascading circumstances. And it felt like that was happening the other night, where it was like, we were just going to bed and Donna was just going to Topias, but now it's like, she's fighting demons, we're fighting demons, we're opening up portals. But I mean, but it was also circumstantial. It could have all been fine.
Right. It could have been fine, but it's true. And that's like in the parlance of indie RPGs, that's called snowballing when that happens, right?
Snowballing,
like one
yeah.
poor roll complicates the situation, and then a series of those things can get kind of out of control and get worse.
Yeah.
Until you manage to like somehow pull them into shape. So yeah, it's definitely part of what's going on with PBTA games in general. On like a 6 or less, there is that make a move thing.
Yeah.
And there's some leeway there, but definitely the thrust of the design it seems to be towards like things get complicated, and it definitely becomes a little weird when there's things that are essentially are potentially just bookkeeping, where it's like, well, roll to see how you spend the night, roll how to see how you get from point A to point B. I tried to, like in old school D&D, you'd roll a D6 to see if there was an encounter, right?
Right.
So I'm trying to fold that into these moves that are about managing your journey. Yeah, and I guess I have mixed feelings about it, actually, because sometimes you just want to have a peaceful night without any chance of complication.
Right.
Like
when you just want to move the story forwards and
Yeah.
say, well, everything is fine. That's an interesting question. Like, do you always have to roll, or?
Well, I do remember there was some time during your whole journey north and south where we skipped over we did one set out to cover a couple days.
Yeah.
And at a certain point, the more ground you cover, the more a single roll could cover. You know what I mean? And you can make that call at any time. I could say like, oh, you want to go back to Saltwall? That'll take you a week. Roll once and we'll see how it goes, right? As opposed to every single day.
Yeah.
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 I get that, because you're more familiar with the terrain, especially if you do have an encounter. You have more of a chance of knowing what to avoid and stuff.
Right. That's the idea. That's the idea. And that's not the move is worded such that it doesn't say like every day do this. It's like when you go from one point to another. And then if everything goes okay, just mark off the number of rations you consumed. So the move is written to accommodate, spans of time.
Right.
But most of the stuff we've been doing has been like one day at a time kind of stuff.
But
I wonder whether there's like a way to kind of express that mechanically instead of like up to discretion. Like, if you are retreading steps you have already taken.
Right. If it's a known path, or
add 2 to your set out roll or your keep the night roll. Something that would make it mechanically much harder, but still possible to get an encounter.
Yeah.
Much likely you'll just like get there okay.
Well, part of that is the safety of the region. Like, a safe region gives you +3 to your roll, and a perilous region gives you just no additions at all. So that's an attempt to kind of handle that. But yeah, there's nothing built in there for the party itself having it's implied that if you find your way from point A to point B across, dangerous territory, that and you made it safely, that could be a safe route for you thereafter, right?
Hmm.
And you'd get that +3.
Oh, yeah.
But it's
Right.
not it's not so explicitly worded as that, but
Yeah.
that's one possibility.
Another question or thought would be if you roll, in a like pass the night or whatever, and you roll an encounter, the judge's discretion could make it into something very dangerous, or it could be something not necessarily benign, but just more
Not,
casual.
yeah, it could be that like it eats all your food, or
Right.
it doesn't have to be a monster. It can be just like a hazard of the journey, for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
Anyhow, I just noticed that.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's great to bring that up, because as I continue to revisit these things, I'll be like thinking about ways to tweak them further.
That's been the hardest part for me as a judge, is just trying to know like when to call for a roll and how to let it control the story. But
You post these on YouTube, right, Jason?
Yeah.
Hey, YouTube, what do you think? Smash that subscribe button, ring that bell, and you can hit us up in the comments below. All right, what do you?
We'll see how that works. I think our last episode, we got like 19, 20 people. There's people who are definitely like, I want to watch the next episode, which is totally gratifying. It's amazing. So thank you out there. We so rarely address our potential viewing audience. Maybe that's the issue. Yeah, but it's nice. Anybody that sticks through from episode 1 to episode 36 and the encounter with Vihainen, the Chaos Demon, I think that's a good payoff, right? Like,
yeah.
Follow these characters through to that juncture. All right, so it's not a problem to move. It's not too far to travel with Beast of Burden and these 3 traveling companions to return to that southern kind of ridge, the base of that southern ridge that runs all the way down Mount Tarkalia. See if I can. Yeah, so you guys were basically parked like here. So it just means coming down along this slope over to the same spot where you camped a couple days ago. Now it's been several days because of the hunting. I guess this was like 4 or 5 days ago is when the last you camped here.
Mm-hmm.
And so it is. Oh yeah, sorry, Donna, what did you roll?
I haven't rolled yet. Oh, can I say something about Mirren's traits?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you can change one of the traits, right? At the end of a session.
Yeah. Absolutely. You are currently lawful. Yep. So you could swap out. You could drop a virtue and keep the 2 remaining ones, and then you'd be neutral. You could replace the vice with a virtue, and then you'd be good. Or you could simply swap out, 1 vice for a vice and 1 virtue for a virtue. Yeah, you can do any of those things.
Oh, that's cool.
So if there's if you're feeling like you're actually more, if there's one that you haven't been using a lot,
yeah,
like ruthless, right?
Yeah, I know. So I was gonna change that one to envious and see if I get better with that one or more use out of that one.
Yeah.
And then if not, maybe I'm just a good elf.
So here's it at the end of this session.
Okay.
Consider doing that. And the only kind of in-game requirement is that we see some evidence of that during the session.
Okay.
Right. So like if you're thinking like, I think I could see envious working from where, and then like one thing to keep in mind is like during the session there might be an opportunity to express that. And then at the end when we go over that process, we say like, you can say like, well, I'm going for envious, and we'll be like, oh, okay, yeah, I saw how you did
Okay.
that.
Okay, that works for me.
Wow, wait, that's Wearing gets more complicated.
Mm-hmm.
I'll try. And okay, thanks for explaining that. And I rolled an 11.
Okay. It's like a glorious midsummer day. It's like bright sun, but up on these slopes, it's not too hot. There's like it's like super comfortable traveling weather. You guys have rested up, you've eaten good food, had some satisfying hunting. So I think all told, everybody is anybody down any stats or hit points?
I'm very low in my luck, but that's everything else is up.
Yeah, I still have a bunch of constitution and a little bit of strength damage.
Okay, so Taimi is still feeling it. Jan, what is your luck at right now?
It's at 6.
Yeah, okay. I forget. Do you remember what the term is for that? There's like an in-game term for when you get a low luck. It's like it's not doomed. That's when you're at 3.
Not quite doomed yet.
But it makes sense because everything that you've been through, right? Everything Paiviki's been through, and talk about unlucky. Like you were just trying to like manipulate the weave of force, and things did not go so great. So it makes sense that there's like a cloud kind of following you around.
I think the name might be cursed or something like that.
Yes, it might actually be.
Which is probably how she's feeling right now.
Yeah, so you've returned to that spot. And Father Ilka and Armis and Minya have accompanied you. And I think Armis is in better spirits now. Oh yeah, Minya was a little, your venture to get the cloudberries ended up with Minya feeling kind of like retreating somewhat. So she's kind of keeping to herself right now.
Oh yeah, she was remembering some of her bad experiences, I think, from what happened.
Yep.
I mean, she's been captured and imprisoned, and who knows all what went down for her.
Yeah, it was not a happy situation there. Luck 6 is unlucky. You're just unlucky. You're not ill-fated yet.
Right. Okay. Well, that's it. She was just unlucky.
Yeah.
No, Paiviki was feeling very responsible and like wondering whether she should toy with magic anymore just because of how bad things turned out. And that's one of the things she wanted to ask the Hisi. If they had any experience with that kind of thing.
Okay, so you're at back at the base of that cliff.
Did the Hisi, when we were up on the crack, did they kind of point to where their village was, I think?
They just kind of gestured further up the slope.
Okay.
Further towards the top of the.
If memory serves me, they were pretty firm about not going too far up.
No, I think they were. I think we asked them, and they were saying, you know, we don't want you to venture into, where this crack is, but
sure,
but that you're welcome in the village to come and visit. That was my understanding. Do you guys remember that?
Well, that sounds right.
It sounded like they would be okay with us visiting, but not going near the crack.
Yeah. So I was just trying to remember, like, which way can we go so we're not like threatening them.
Should we
respectful?
I think Paiviki's sense was that ascending and keeping like a good distance away from the shiver, that
The
crack,
shiver. Yeah.
Kind
Can
of
you
basically
sense it?
following it up the mountain, but staying, but not like not being near it, right? Parallel to it. Sorry, Donna.
Oh, I was gonna ask, can Paviki sense it still? Like, can she follow it but not?
I'm going to say that because of everything that's happened and what Paiviki's been through, that there's a little bit of a the weave is not so readily accessible.
Yeah.
I mean,
She
I think
forgot,
all you know, it's not like it has any negative effect on your spellcasting capacity, but yeah. Sorry, Jan, what were you saying?
well, just that she forgot all 3 of her spells.
Right.
So even if she could cast magic, she can't do any right now.
Yeah.
So, but she hasn't tried to remember how to cast them either. She's just been like taking a break from all that.
Yeah, so that totally lines up. I think with those out of your head, the weave is just not. Before it was always kind of vaguely present, and maybe you could see a little bit of a movement here in the corner of your eye, and it's just like I think for you maybe that this march across the mountainside in this on this beautiful summer day, there is a kind of you could obviously you're in charge of how Paiviki feels, but like there is an absence of that. And so things kind of look different, right? Things look maybe more in focus or more hard.
Yeah. I think she's just taking a mental break from being so having half of her brain in that that world of magic. And I remember that so from here we can't really continue with Itzy and the cart, right? It's just kind of more of a climb.
That's right. So there's no, I think we keep thinking there's a cart, but John keeps reminding us that there's just saddlebags, right?
There's no cart.
There's no cart, but yes, this is like a cliff that requires climbing, and Itzy can't go any further. And Armus can't. Ilka and Minya could both come. Tapias obviously is going to stay with Itzy. So probably, I don't know. Do you want Minya to come?
I'm fine with it if she wants to.
Yeah, I mean, she's definitely earned the right to come. But I don't know what their traditions are. I think I would lay the decision between her and Father Ilka. You know, this might be a place that is forbidden to the young in their customs.
Ilka thinks it would be fine for her to come. It's just a question of whether she wants to. And I'm just looking for her sheet. The nice one, this is all in a book and not just a stack of paper. Yeah, I think she does want to come. She's been quiet this whole time, and I think the idea. But as you guys approach the cliff, the spot where you were before, you see her kind of like eagerly kind of glancing up the slopes, like, you know, trying to catch a glimpse. You have come to understand that the Hisi definitely figured in the lives of these people, not their physical presence, but the idea of them being there. Like Ilka had interacted with them. None of the other people in the encampment had. So they knew they were out there, and they knew that they were kind of stewards of the mountain. So they have a kind of, in the eyes of the followers of Father Ilka, they have a kind of holy aspect to them. So the idea that you guys are actually going to meet them for Mina is exciting. So when the opportunity arises and Ilka kind of turns and looks at her, you know, you guys are getting ready to kind of climb up, and he just turns and looks at her and doesn't say anything, and then you know, they kind of lock eyes, and he kind of gives a little nod, and she just she kind of jumps up and she lights up and is like totally ready to climb that cliff.
Okay.
So it's not a difficult climb. You make your way up there and get to the top, and again, you're kind of looking, you're, you know, 20 yards away from the lower edge of that crevasse.
I think that before they head up, Paiviki's going to take off her her chainmail and leave it behind.
Okay. And I assume Taimi and Mirren are both going. Is that right? Or is okay. Great. So chainmail's left behind, but bringing weapons.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, you had them before. There's no reason to think that there would be a problem. Okay. I guess I would love a little internal, as you guys are either preparing to make this climb or you're making it or you get to the top. I'd love a little brief moment where we understand how each of our characters is feeling. If that's okay with everyone. How's Paiviki feeling?
She is feeling sort of like surrendering a little bit to whatever she learns, and sort of from the Hisi or from the mountain. She feels like, you know, from her last experience that she kind of was too casual and overstepped her understanding of what magic is capable of, and so she feels kind of humbled, and it's a weird place for her because she's used to being just totally confident about everything, and so she's quieter than usual and kind of thoughtful, unusually so.
Great, thanks. How about Taimi?
I think Taimi is you know, behind Paiviki and Mirren and is looking between the two of them, and, you know, thinking about how she knows that Paiviki isn't meaning to do what's happening, but that she's fearful of it. Not Paiviki, that Taimi is fearful of it. And she also stops a couple times and looks back across Watcher's Climb in the direction of Rayuna, and thinks about, you know, like how far they've come, and like ultimately how little they know. You know, this very palpable, like we were the heroes of Rayuna, and now we're like, you know, out. She feels out of her league
because of this creature from beyond that you have encountered.
We got lucky, you know, like we were punching up and we managed to land a hit.
Great. And then Mirren, how's Mirren feeling?
I guess she's a little cautious knowing that Paiviki had such a devastating experience, and they you know, so she's also cautious and thinking about a way to make amends from the that one awkward try to make her feel better. And I think she needed time, so Mirren's like just thinking about when an opportunity arises, a way to be more comforting, and she's excited that that person, Mina, is coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, really? She's excited that Minia's coming. Great.
Yeah, she's like, oh, cool. A new magic or a person. Yeah.
So maybe there's a moment where like you like reach back. Oh, where you like reach back and help Minia up over there's like a two ledges and they're sort of too far apart for Minia. She could probably do it because she's a really good climber, but you reach down and like, help her up. So there's a kind of a shy exchange between the two of you. I mean, she's shy. You don't.
Oh, right, because they don't know elves, right?
They know of elves. They have not seen from the town that they come from. Maybe an elf has come through once or twice, but like,
Mhm.
yeah, they know what elves are, but not familiar. But you definitely get a little smile. She's clearly like excited to be doing this. All right, and then you're up alongside the shiver, and it is colder up here. The wind's blowing a little bit harder. There is there's kind of like the mist, the atmospheric perspective, like looking out at when Taimi looks south towards Rayuna, there's that kind of like diffusion in the air that kind of like makes stuff kind of fade and become less distinct in the distance, right? Like it's moisture in the air or cloud cover or whatever. But when you all get up on top of this, up above the cliff and look back, everything is like much clearer than it was below. Like you feel like you can see forever. Everything is just like in sharp detail, and it's as if something kind of wiped away all of the mist and clouds from below, and the sun is shining brightly down upon you. And yeah, so there's the shiver off, and then you're looking up this rocky slope. There's it's covered with lichen, and there's like scrub trees here and there, but it's mostly a kind of rocky ascent alongside the shiver. So how are you going to go about looking for the Hisi?
Paiviki, I think, would speak to Father Ilka and say, last time we were here, I felt we knew they were present watching us. I think they must be again. She sort of gestures up to where we saw them before, where they appeared out of the rocks. But have you been up this far?
Not here. We don't dare come near. We haven't dared come near the shiver, but he uses its he calls it Vilen Veristikset. He uses its old name, and I have come this high, but around on our side of the mountain, we have avoided this place. This is a holy place in their domain, so we have stayed clear of it in respect. But you are right; they are always watching, and they know we are here. See there, and he gestures, and there's like a little clutch of trees, and where there weren't before, there's two of them there. About 50 yards up the mountainside, and they start to come down towards you.
Oh yeah.
And they do that. They have that like there's like a little bit of a leaping kind of bobbing. I mean, you get the sense that when these guys start to move, they can really move across this mountain. So it's very, to your eyes, it's very strange because they're bipedal, they're kind of humanoid, but the way that those the legs kind of spring against the ground is very not human at all. And they make their way, two of them make their way quietly down towards you until they're about 20 feet away from you, a little higher up on the slope. And they, yeah, sort of look at you expectantly.
In my notes, I have it that they speak something that like Muirin can understand and communicate with, because their language is derived from like the people of the north.
Yeah, it's related to ancient Elvish.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Did Muirin act as your translator before? Oh, you couldn't speak with him directly. I totally forgot about that. Yeah. Okay, great.
I forgot about that too.
Just looked it up. I looked it up.
Thank you for
Nice.
keeping those notes, man. All right.
Well, Mirren will ask Taibiki if what she'd like to say.
I think Mirren, just to tell them that we have rescued these people from the village and that we would speak to the Hisi and tell them what has happened and ask their advice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we want to know what they think about what we've done and if they're interested.
Okay, so you relate, you start to relate the events to them, and they're kind of impassive and unblinking. And then very patient. They're just kind of listening to you. There's a moment where like the ears flicker. And then one of them says, we know of this. We know what has transpired. We know what was brought onto the mountainside. We know whose life you took. And they say that pointedly at Muirin. We know these things. Why do you tell them to us? And anybody can speak up with Mirren as translator, and we can just assume that you're.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess if they all know, then probably we don't necessarily even need to talk to their, all of them or anything like that. What is Father Ilka thinking of talking to these people? Does he seem to be?
He came at your behest.
Yeah.
He agreed to come because you asked him to come. And he reveres these people as stewards of the mountain, right? Like whatever his belief, he holds some great respect for the mountain itself and the spirit that inhabits it. And these creatures are, they're like the stewards of the holy mountain. So they're kind of, in his mind, they're superior, or maybe not even superior, but they're different, and they're part of this force that he reveres. So he is respectful in his body language, but does not seem moved to want to communicate with them.
Yeah.
And he does not speak their language.
Yeah.
So I guess on the one hand, he's kind of like, he's a little bit like, when the interaction starts happening, he's like looking at Weirin and like kind of astonished that she can do this. And then
Right.
Minya also, like, as soon as Weirin starts speaking and the thing responds, Minya is just like, can't believe it either, that this kind of diminutive elf is communicating with these holy stewards.
Do they sound like upset? Like they're not sounding as positive as I thought they would sound.
They do not sound so they're I don't know if I would call them emotionless, but they're pretty hard to read in general. I would not say they're upset. They appear to be sort of neutral.
Okay. I would just reinforce through Muirin, like it gave us, we derived no pleasure from killing, but they were harming innocent people, torturing, killing, following this god of destruction. We had to defend ourselves. But now now we feel that the taint of Vahainen marks those lands. And then stop me if I'm wrong, team, but like, and we're hoping that we could have guidance on how to erase that shadow, so that his presence can't have a foothold there again.
You see well, Hunter. This is what has come to pass. The shadow before was the shadow of a blade of grass, but this one, and he gestures towards Paiviki, took that shadow and turned it into that of a tree. And that shadow still lies across that face of the mountain. It will come no higher. We will not permit it. And you are right to think that it must be chased from there by what light you can bring. And then it looks back at Muirin, and a shift in its expression happens. And I guess the way to describe it is the way that that they look at all of you guys as if you're, there's none of the kind of warmth of interpersonal connection, eye contact and whatnot, right? Like, they're just like talking to you in this very kind of standoffish, neutral way. But at this moment, when he turns back to Muirin, the features shift a little bit, and you see there's a connection with the eye contact, and he says, the shadow must be cleansed from that place, and only one among you is able to do that. Like staring at Muirin.
Well, tell us how. And who?
You must bring water from the upper slopes where the snow melt at the edge of the melt, where the light of the sun is turning the ice into water. And this water must be used to cleanse the place, and only you have the ability to purify that water.
Have you shared your purification powers with everybody? Yeah, we all
You're all
Mhm.
you were part of the lab experiment, weren't you?
Yep, yep.
okay.
And the Hisi just happened to know everything because they never knew, right?
You never told them that, no. They have
Yeah.
some, yeah, they're clearly able to perceive stuff that yeah, beyond just what they can see and hear.
I guess when we're in communicate, do you say everything we're in? Do you basically do it verbatim? Translation.
Yes, yes.
I guess then
As exactly as you say it.
I would lean into Muir and say, how would they know that you can do these things? Have they spied on us? Or are they truly tapped in to the weave that strongly?
It's possible. Oh, Mirren thinks definitely a form of spying, and maybe it's possible that the cloak maybe is connected to that weave as well. Maybe that's how they can sense the power and what it can do.
You guys have that little exchange, and then he speaks again, and he says, "We cannot see beyond the roots of the mountain, but when you are here, we can see. We can see," and he gestures towards Kaiviki. "We can see what this one has lost." And then he gestures towards Taimi and says, "We can see what may yet be lost."
Correct.
And then Tamir, and he says, we see what you hold inside you. You did not exist for us until you set foot on this mountain, but now you are clear. In the Scientology sense. No, just kidding. Turns out.
They're Scientologists. Yeah. Look, it all makes sense now.
That's funny. I actually don't understand that joke, but
Oh, when you get to a certain, you have to go through all the different levels of Scientology, and when you're, isn't it like the topmost? You become clear because you've cleared yourself of all the alien entities that inhabit your body.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh.
You achieve Top Gun.
You achieve Top Gun.
Yeah. I mean, so Muirin is impressed. And she's happy that they're so honest with like how to do, answering the questions.
Straightforward answer.
Yeah. But I guess she's just curious, really, like, what does it mean to them to know all of this? Because they can be so in tune, they can see us, and then they know what we not want, but
So you're asking them?
yeah, and I guess we'll see if they even respond to that.
But you're asking, what does it mean that you can see so much?
Yeah. What does that mean to them? Or yeah, do they just know and then wait and guard?
Mm-hmm. You know the way of it. this place between worlds, and gestures turns slightly towards the shiver. It is our task to guard what passes to and from, and to keep unwanted forces from entering. And as part of our duty, we are blessed with the gift of knowing what transpires on these slopes.
So it's a gift to know these things.
Well, it is a gift for the job that we undertake. We know that this one, and he gestures towards Ilka, brings no harm and has honored the mountain in his days. And though his attention is, he uses an ancient Elvish word for useless. To mean like it's a word that the elves use to describe the efforts of people that weren't Elvish to do something kind of beyond their ability. So he's kind of saying that Ilka is kind of, it's almost like you get the impression that he considers Ilka, or they consider Ilka, to be somewhat childlike in his kind of honor, with the way he's honoring the mountain or whatever. I mean, maybe you don't want to translate that part.
Sure.
He's not being
But
insulting.
useless is the right.
Yeah, I mean, useless is one interpretation, but it's just basically like this poor human, is has devoted a lot of his time and effort towards this thing. And it's a worthy kind of force, because here we are protecting it, but like it's not what he imagines it to be, is kind of what they're saying. And so I guess the question is, are you going to translate this? Because that might be interesting to Paiviki also, given how Paiviki's feeling. I don't know if you want to keep that information private, or do the classic like fake translation where you make up what he's saying.
How ruthless are you?
Oh, she will translate in a way that's not hurtful. Or so a different word from useless, but in a way that conveys that the way, in their opinions, the way he worships is useless.
You try
like
to you try to communicate it diplomatically without. I mean, I guess this is the thing. It's like, are you going to leave it with Ilka feeling like the stewards of the holy mountain are telling him essentially, good luck, buddy, or are you framing it such that like in a kind of more neutral tone where it's like they see what you have done, right? Where you just sort of, it's a live omission, where you allow him to have his worldview intact, or you let him know that like
that. And just to be clear, when it says like, when you mean good luck, buddy, it means like it's sort of like a ritual, a meaningless ritual.
Right, exactly. Yep. So this all leads you to believe that they do not consider the mountain itself an entity.
Yes.
They're clearly protecting this rift or whatever it is, and that is their duty. And they talk about the mountain as like a very important place, but that they don't think of it as a kind of individual entity.
Yeah. So yeah, I would convey it, but in a diplomatic way where it's like they worship, or yeah, Ilka's like worshiping of the mountain is not the thing that they worship.
Okay, got it. Yep, got it. So
Yeah.
you're just like, it's just you guys got different approaches. I'm gonna
But
actually, yeah,
yeah, because I do want Paibiki to know what they're saying.
yeah, got it. So you're
Yeah, okay.
basically translating but making that little. I'm gonna have you make a saving throw.
Okay.
So this is to see if you can do that in a convincing way that Ilka will buy. And that would be
Charisma?
either charisma or I think of the way you just described it, like the diplomatic part is definitely charisma. I think wisdom would be the other thing because you're because like that would be understanding Ilka as a person and like trying to frame this in a way where he won't.
Yeah, I would. So like if I fail this, then I would be able to check my charisma though, right? Or do you not get experience from
Oh no, you get experience for
saving
sure.
throw?
You get
Okay,
not
from a
experience,
saving throw.
but you get to mark your ability. Yeah.
Markability.
Yeah. So charisma.
She'll try to use her charisma, which is a 0 because it's 10. Ooh, 10 plus 0.
You got a
So I
10?
don't get to mark. Yeah,
Nice. Well done. Well done. Yeah.
but don't mark anything.
That's correct. Those carefully crafted words, completely. Father Ilka just kind of like, nods his head in understanding about, and doesn't, is not thrown off by that. Clearly, these are creatures of a different sphere, and that kind of lines up with his. They're very alien, so that makes sense to him.
And maybe Paibiki would, yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh,
Mary.
I was just thinking, Paibiki, this is maybe, yes, your chance to see if they saw what you did.
Yeah. So yeah, she would ask. Hibiki says, I take responsibility for, and I feel ashamed that I am responsible for much of what has happened. And I would ask if, with your insight, would you tell me if there's a way forwards for me to use the magic that I've learned better.
So learn it better.
And you said that you see what will happen. So can you know what will happen tomorrow? Can you know what we should do? What I should do?
We can see the sun and clouds and rain and wind. In that way, we can see what will happen tomorrow. We can see the weave. We can see where it goes and who draws it. We have seen you draw upon it and draw upon it well. But we have also seen that as you go to braid the rope has come undone and fallen from your hands. When you brought Vihainen into this world from his power came with him. And he is gone. He has left. He could not stay long. But he is stronger here now. And that is because of your actions. We do not, it is not our job to tell humans what to do with the weave. It has always been the case that those who choose to draw upon it do so at their own risk. Some succumb to its power. Some are able to resist it. You have the look about you of one who has been taught by one who has resisted. If you want to continue to use it, you may do so. We do not have, it is not our job to prevent you. But just know that this is how the sorcerers of the past have fallen. We see that it has touched you and you have been burned. Our responsibility is to guard this place. You might consider what your responsibility is, given what you have introduced.
I would do what I can to rid this mountain of Vihainen, and I don't know what I can do if if my use of magic can make things worse, or if they can make it better. Is there anything that you can give me to help me resist the power, as you said, so that I may use my magic to do this task?
When you weave, when you draw upon the weave, and I see that you will, do so with care and consideration. Resist the urge to act quickly. You move to protect your companions, but instead of using your body in these weapons of metal, you reached beyond quickly in the moment. That is where the danger lies. Vihainen does not just touch this mountainside, he touches other places in the world. And he sort of, with his little javelin thing, he kind of gestures out across the landscape. You brought him here, and rarely has that occurred. But those by whom he has touched, and you know that in this case he's referring to the cultists that you guys encountered. Those were but a few of a crowd of others.
Hmm. And Paviki says, thank you. I will try to learn this patience that you speak of, and um, um, I would take my time if, and she kind of looks around at everybody. May we visit your village, that we may see the world from your eyes a little bit better.
So by that you mean, oh, you want to like understand more about them?
Yeah, she does, but then also I think she's trying to get her mind around this whole idea of like, you know, being patient, and she was thinking about her teachings from Locke, and how she was, you know, very much about like connecting with the natural elements
Oh
and
yeah,
stuff like
yeah,
that.
yeah. Okay.
I was like, look, these people obviously know something. They know a lot. And she was kind of like, if, you know, her understanding of magic and of magical power and
Yeah.
forces and stuff is kind of limited. Like
Yeah.
Taimi was saying, that she was just kind of toying around with it, not really knowing what she was doing,
Yeah.
and thinking like if she could gain some of that sort of wisdom or perspective that these guys obviously have, that maybe she'd be a better source for
So they kind of exchange the two of them exchange a glance at this request. And they kind of look back at you, and then they pointedly look at each of like, they take a specific, like take like a, you know, a full 2 seconds to look at each of you, like in the face, like Muirin, Minya. Actually, they don't even look at Muirin. Muirin, they're not worried about. They look at Taimi and Minya and Ilka. And they say, that they don't say anything. They turn, and from the way they're turning and walking away, you understand that you're welcome to follow them further up the slope. So I guess the question is, does everybody go?
Yeah.
Okay.
How far away are we from where Topias and, is it Arlo or Arlis or what is there?
Armas. Armas. You're only like, if you like take a step back and look down the cliff, they're about 60 or 70 feet below you.
Oh, geez. Well, then we'll just tell them that we're gonna go. That, you know, we're
Like, don't be.
way to purify the village.
Okay, and then you follow these guys up the mountainside.
Mm-hmm.
So they return to so they sort of appeared at the edge of this. There was a little rise, and like I said, some scrubby trees, some like gnarled roots kind of clinging to the cracks in the rock. And there's different color. There's like ochre and white lichen growing different places. Not a lot of plant growth. And they just past this point where you saw them, the slope is more kind of smoother, and it's covered with this dark gray, very textured lichen, like thicker than the other stuff that you've seen. And they walk up and they sit down facing you, cross-legged on this. There's just like this big patch of it on the side of the mountain. It's just darker than the other stuff around it, and they sit down on that facing you. And one of them like makes a gesture with his hand, inviting you to sort of do the same.
Mm-hmm. Paviki sits down.
So Minya is like, I think Minya at this point actually reaches out and grabs Muirin's hand. Because she's, she's like, what is going on here? This is, clearly this is like a unprecedented event in her life. So she reaches out for comfort, and all of you kind of sit down, following their example, right? Ilka sort of hesitates a moment and then takes a seat. And then one of them reaches forward and puts his hand on the lichen in front of him. And there's a ripple goes through the lichen, like you feel it under you, right? Like as if somebody very gently kind of like flapped a blanket, and there was just like a little ripple of movement through the lichen. And then it lifts up off of the rock. Actually, you guys rise about a foot up off of the rock. So now you're on this big, uneven patch of this kind of slightly undulating material. And then kind of slowly starts to glide up the mountainside.
Oh.
Whoa.
So as it does that, you can picture like, here's the like gnarly mountainside, and it just kind of like rides across all the uneven surfaces. And there are some places where it gets a little bit like steep, so you have to kind of like, lean your body back against it and like put your arm down a little bit. But the lichen itself seems to have a little bit of a grippy quality to it, like not totally sticky, but like it's actually, giving you some traction as you're kind of sitting there. And there's like a so there's like a breeze blowing across the mountainside, and then you start to go a little bit faster, and you're looking down across this vast mountainside. Yes, John.
So Taimi puts her head down. She's enchanted by what sort of creature this might be and how sophisticated it.
I remember that story about Taimi sleeping in the leaf piles, right, in the woods, right, with mom.
This feels like a mobile leaf pile.
And then it kind of like sort of like, so I think you kind of lose track of time on this this lichen ride, and it goes up and over a ridge, and then kind of settles onto the ground, back to the ground. And you can see, actually right when you come over the ridge, you see that there's a big upslope further up, and the shiver at this point is like 4 or 5 feet wide. Down where you guys were near the base, it was only like, it started like this, and you never saw it be more than like a foot wide or 2, but up here it's like big enough where you could walk into it essentially. And the crystals there, if you remember, the whole thing is encrusted with these whitish blue crystals, are bigger. There's like a faint, almost kind of shimmer there's like a shimmer to the air all around that. The lichen kind of settles onto the ground, and you realize that on either side of the shiver, where you see it starting about 15 feet away from the edge, there are a number of burrows kind of set into the mountainside. that are they appeared, so burrows is I guess the wrong word. There are rocks that are arranged to create openings. So like a megalith type thing, right? So big, heavy rocks that are set up, and there's a number of them, and the rocks look, very, very old. They themselves are covered with lichen and other growths like that. They just seem like an ancient part of the mountainside. And there's a number of these people kind of moving about in this area. And when you guys come over the top there, they look like they've been expecting you. Like nobody's like, oh, who are these strangers? They're unperturbed. And most of them, I guess, are just sort of, they've stopped and they're sort of standing and kind of just watching as the carpet kind of settles down.
Are there any children?
No.
Do the stone structures look at all similar to the Enin things that we've seen?
No, these look more, they're just much cruder. It's like slabs of stone that have just been kind of set against each other. The Enin structures are definitely like involved like a lot of masonry. There must have been, if not slave labor, there must have been some very intense kind of building going on. You don't understand how these guys could move rocks this size, but it's just like their structures are simply just like natural rocks laid against each other.
Well, I guess if they stand up, Paviki will too. Are they getting off the mat?
Yeah. Sorry, they get
Okay.
up. Yeah, they get up off the mat.
And yeah, just sort of. She feels self-conscious about saying anything because she already knows that they know what we said. But just kind of looking around and sort of acknowledging the people that she sees there, seeing how they live, just trying to, I think she's just trying to like take it in and observe and see. Is there snow here? They talked about collecting snow.
Yeah, you guys are up at the point where it's not just above where they are. There's snow and ice. Around here it's mostly bare rock. It is chilly.
And but you said the shiver is wide here, and is there cold coming out of it?
Yeah, I think that's that's your sense, is that there's cold air emerging from it. Yeah.
And I think I would ask the people that took us there, have your people lived here so long that that you were here when the Enin were living on the mountain?
Yes. Their empire grew and fell beneath our eyes.
Wow.
Not our eyes. He means the people around him right now, but like the eyes of my kind.
And we don't really know a whole lot about this world, but the elves were, I think Paviki says to Mirren, like your people were here before ours. Definitely before the Corkine, but before the other people. Is that true? Is that all of our understanding of the world?
I believe so.
That lines up with my understanding. Yeah.
Okay.
They one of them reaches down and kind of tears off part of the mat that you rode up on, and offers it, tears it in half, and offers half to Paiviki and half to Taimi.
I turn it over curiously in my hand.
Yeah, so it's like a really frilly, spongy kind of. It's like a piece of ragged leather. And he like watching you. He takes a piece himself and like chews on it, puts it in his mouth.
Bring it up to my nose and sniff it.
It smells like I guess the equivalent would be, it's like smells very mildly of what we would think of as seaweed.
Yeah.
Like no fishy ocean thing, but like a salty, kind of pungent.
Yeah. Taimi glances at Paiviki, but puts a small amount in her mouth. Kind of puts in kind of like, is it easy to rip?
Yeah, it's like it was just like, it's kind of like beef jerky in terms of like its texture. So it's actually kind of hard to rip, but like it's rippable. And it's very much like, have you ever had a cloudy or mushroom?
No.
Have you ever had like mushu chicken or mushu pork or something like that?
Yeah.
It's this particular kind of fungus that is often used in Chinese food.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So it's chewy and not doesn't really give to your teeth that well, but you can, like, if you chew it and chew it and chew it, you can break it up into small enough pieces to swallow. And it's not terrible tasting. It's like a little bit salty and a little bit yeah, I can't find the right adjective. Strange. It's strange. It's definitely strange.
Is it the same thing that they're wearing?
Is maybe yeah, I guess there's that moment where Paiki's, wait a second. There's a variety of different growths, on the rocks and all around here, of slightly different shades. But it definitely occurs to you that whatever these people are wearing might be somehow. I guess the main takeaway is it seems like they somehow subsist and use the stuff that grows in this kind of inhospitable climate to live.
Yeah. Well, Paviki will eat some too,
Okay.
thinking maybe it'll help clear her mind a little bit and think like a goat.
Yeah, great. And they offer it all around. And I think Mina nibbles a little bit. Ilka seems to be a little bit in a state of shock. He clearly like never imagined he would be where he is right now, this high up and with this part of the shiver in sight and with these people. So he like sort of takes the stuff offered to him and just kind of dumbly takes it and then just continues to kind of stare around him in kind of a stupefied state.
So Paiviki, were you saying that you wanted to like spend some time here?
I don't know. I am curious what I could learn from these people. Paiviki's just very naturally curious and Hey, says Taimi, just about learning. And so she realizes that she needs to learn something new. And, being around people that obviously know more than she does is kind of like, wow, I thought I was the smartest one around. So she, but
I don't know.
she says to Taimi, I don't know. I'm not used to not knowing, but here I am. I don't know. And they said that I would use magic again, but I don't want the same thing to occur that happened last time.
None of us do, and I know that you don't mean for it to happen. Wasn't Locke called the ever learning, always learning?
It was. She is always learning. And remember how she took that cold bracelet and stuck it on her arm?
Oh yeah, and it like got stuck, and it was bad. Is that what happened?
Yeah, it stuck to her skin.
Yeah. These people, by their accounts, have lived through the age of the Enin. Their relationship to the weave is old and refined over God knows how many years of practice and persistence. I don't know if you could ever get there, but I think she just kind of trails off.
And Paiviki kind of looks over at the shiver and she says, "Didn't they say they guard the opening to another world?" Is that what Mirren told us?
I believe, but I know not what they refer to. Another world. The ground I stand on is stable. I don't know where else they could be referring to. I look in the sky. I see no other great land.
Maybe it's under the ground, but cold, not like Vihainen's hot world.
Ooh, God, that mind effort hadn't even like occurred to Taimi. Well, I guess maybe the stories talked about him coming from a land of, nightmares and, cruel fields of fire or whatever. So, I want to trust Paiviki.
They said that
As many
his power was increased, but that he's gone for now. So that maybe perhaps the door that I opened was closed again. Mirren, what did they say you must do? Collect some snow to purify this place?
Yes.
We should get clear on
And-
what we need to do.
Well, if there is snow here that we can take with us, we should definitely collect some while we're here.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I would ask them what we need to do with the water. Do we need like one water skin of snow? Do we need a couple water skins of snow? Are we going to have to like, somehow concoct some scheme to get water everywhere? Or is there just like the place where, Heinen fell, the place where Heinen first stepped foot, like where's the kernel of power that we need to address.
Timey wants some specs on this job.
Yeah.
I mean, do we need to be like constructing some sort of bucket brigade up to the
Right.
Father Ilka was saying, like, when the snows thaw, like, and it comes down, like, that almost made me think that the whole place has to be doused with it. And if that's the case, then a water skin's not going to do anything.
Right. So was Muirin asking about these questions?
Mhm.
Yeah, you want more info?
Yeah, if there's a specific cleansing ritual that we should follow, we'd like to know. Otherwise, we will default to our basic human and elvish cleansing rituals.
So one of them, the one that you're talking to, says, "Are you ready to begin?" Oh yeah.
Yeah.
John Chad, roll 1d6 for Taimi.
5.
You get 5 points back.
Whoa! Hit points?
Whichever, however you want to use those.
Great. Oh my gosh, I feel like $1 million.
Wow.
And then if anybody else is down, you can do the same, roll a d6 and you get points back.
Not on luck.
Not on luck. You're not too far from level 7, right?
No, I'm not far at all. No, I'm just wondering. I was just asking specifically.
Yeah. Good question.
Because we're in an unusual spot.
Definitely. It's not quite the right kind of thing to bring luck back.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they lead you over to so this is the top of the shiver. This is where it actually kind of stops on the mountainside, right? This widest part. So what they do is they lead you up above their village and over the top of it. And then on the far side of the shiver, on where the slope angles more towards the Enin ruin, which you can see far below. Everything is still kind of crystal clear up here. They have they produce a number of sacks made of this fungus stuff or similar fungus stuff, which are just kind of like cinched at the top. And there's a place here where the snow is melting and kind of pouring through. There's like a crook in the stone, and there's like a little bit of a mini waterfall. And then they indicate that you should fill these fungus sacks with water, and they have provided you with 3 of them. So when they're full, they're about a foot in diameter, and you can kind of sling them over your shoulder. They're quite heavy because they're full of water at that point, but that seems to be the amount of water that you're going to need. And they tell Muirin that the place where Vihainen entered the world needs to be cleansed. So that whole area where the campfire was, and Stonebreaker's where Stonebreaker basically slept, which you guys don't know where that is, but like as the kind of advocate for Vihainen, Stonebreaker clearly had some heavier presence than his followers. So those are the 2 areas that need to be cleansed. And he says to you, Muirin, he says, you bear something of the Enin. You bring something of the Enin with you, something that they made, something woven from their plants long ago. This is part of the ritual. and only you can perform it. All you need to do is when the water is poured out. Oh, sorry. There's 3 bags. When the water is poured out, and he actually at this point, he has one of his fellows there with one of the sacks, and he just sorry. He uses the waterfall, the little mini waterfall that's pouring through this stone. He says when the water pours out, and then he sticks his hand into the water as it falls, so that it falls through his fingers. And he's just indicating to you that that's what when the water is poured, that's what you need to do, is just have your hand there, let it pass over your hand while you're wearing the Enin garment. And that's a necessary part of it. And he says the third sack, the last thing to do is pour the last one over the cliff.
Anywhere?
Just
Or
into the air. Yep, anywhere.
Through the hand, though?
Yep.
I'll thank them for sharing that with us.
I think Paviki would ask through Mirren also just again about the magic, if that, the magic that some of the magic that she learned from some strange incantations from books. But is there anything that they know that they could teach her that would be more beneficial than preying on people's avarice?
We do not make use of the weave the way that your people do. There is nothing that we could teach you beyond what I've already said. To resist the temptation, you must be patient. You must take care. You must consider what your actions will do. You must consider the ripples.
May I sit here and contemplate what you have said then? And breathe in the air from the shiver.
The two of them kind of look at each other, and then one of them gestures for you to come with him. And he goes back up over the top of the shiver and sort of indicates that so where it comes up, so where it comes out of it, where the kind of opening goes into the mountain, above that there's like an outcropping of rock that's pretty substantial, and he sort of indicates that you can sit there right at the top of it.
So Paviki was thinking that maybe she would try to sort of connect with the weave, since she doesn't use a spell book to remember spells.
Yeah.
And so she was trying to kind of get in touch with it, but also like thinking about what she learned initially from Locke, and if she could gain any insight that would be helpful, then she would do that. Assuming she levels up, since she's 1 point away, then she actually will go gain in some power.
Oh yeah, great, perfect. So is this? Would you say that you're like doing the equivalent of studying your spell book, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Just trying to doing that, trying to reconnect. But I mean, I think she is curious, and it's probably just a separate thing. But she is curious about like, I don't know if there's like a move that describes it, but just like trying to prepare herself so she's not. It actually is a mechanical thing in one of the books about like preparing for the next time you do a certain action. But that's like that's like the part of the make, what is it called? Make something. I can't remember what the name.
Work on a project.
Work on a project,
Yeah.
yeah. But I don't know if that applies.
That's a little more long. Well. So what would you say the project is in this case?
That's yeah. I don't know if she has enough of a specific project in mind, but just the project would be casting a spell carefully so that it's helpful and not like opening portals to.
Yeah, I think that mechanically that equates to, as we learned, the thing that happened there was things went bad, and remember that the thing that went bad was in proportion to the spell's effect.
Yeah.
I think mechanically that means not expending too much power for the effect.
Yeah.
Right, like trying to stay in control, not kind of overstep in that way.
Yeah.
So that would be the mechanic kind of bolster for that. And then through a couple hours of meditation here, you can try to regain your, you can actually regain spells equal to your intelligence modifier.
Right. And right
So
now she still only knows 3 spells. So
total, yeah.
Oh, is it equal to your intelligence modifier?
As when you spend a few hours studying your spell book, you forget all memorized spells and memorize a number equal to your level plus your intelligence. So you got plenty of spells. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you can remember them all.
Okay.
And during that time, while Paviki's meditating, are you guys up to anything in particular? Or are you just kind of like biding your time on the strange mountainside?
I guess I asked Father Ilka, will you come with us back down to
Your Kana?
Jirkana?
Yes. If it can be cleansed, then we must. It is only right that I be there. Sorry, go ahead.
Or would you still endeavor to travel south to Rayuna?
We will do that, but after this is resolved, there's a hole in my heart. It would leave a hole in my heart to think that this place that we called home for so long would be left in the shadow of the wrathful one.
His shadow will be cleansed. This water will be a light that will drive it back into the dark crevice from which it came. I then take some time and just explain to him. I give him the lowdown on Rayuna. I tell him about Tini. I tell him about Ladevisi and Aseri and Varpu, and I just, tell him who he should be checking in with, and like, he's a smart guy, but I just want him to know everybody, and like, make sure you tell them about the Colkeen, and they're going to be interested in knowing this, and this, and
You give him the briefing.
Yeah.
Great. Muirin, are you up to anything?
Yeah, I guess she's just paying attention to that conversation and is I guess she's just very curious about what the Hisi, how they live and what they do. So she's just observing them.
Okay. Yeah. So they've kind of gone after the initial arrival and you guys moving over to the other side of the shiver, they've kind of gone back about their business. So you see them moving kind of here and there. Some of them kind of go off down the mountainside. They're making things out of fungus, eating it. There doesn't appear to be any kind of heat. There's no smoke anywhere. They don't appear to need something to keep them warm. And at a certain point you see another one of those carpet things kind of like glide down the hillside with like 3 of them on it. That kind of silently descends and disappears out of sight.
Yeah, Tiny is mesmerized. I think she kind of like trails off whenever one of them, and then so Yarko is the town guardsman.
Right. Minya is definitely not going back to the ruin. So she, like, Ilka wants to go back with you guys down there. From up here, you would, it'd be down the hillside right to it. You could probably get there by dusk. And the Hisi indicate that they would take Minya back to Topias and her father.
Okay.
So that would mean you'd be leaving Minya with them.
Okay. And then we would go back with Father Ilka to meet up with Topias again, I suppose.
After you cleanse the place?
Yeah.
Is that what you're picturing? Yeah. Yeah, from here it would be like a straight descent to the ruin, to the encampment, and then you would do that, and then you'd make your way. You sort of repeat the same trip you took in the morning, which would be to go around the base towards where Topias and Armas are.
Okay, I'm cool with that. How about y'all?
Sure.
All right, so after a couple of hours, Paiviki, you're sunburned. But not like, not dangerously so. But when you return, when you climb down from your perch, you're like, your forehead and cheeks are quite red.
For some reason, I pictured we were in a cloud.
I think maybe a cloud drifts by at some point for sure.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of blue sky as well.
I think she's just, trying to incorporate into her concept of the weave the fact that there's other worlds and how all those energies connect, and just spending time next to one and realizing that she inadvertently opened another one. She's trying to get her mind around all that.
Is she trying to find answers, or is she just trying to like sort of understand what she's seen so far, like fear or incorporate what she's seen so far into her worldview?
I don't know if I have a specific question.
Okay, can always happen later. All right, and your the kind of internal rhythms and patterns necessary to cast those spells have returned to you.
All right. So are we gonna go? Are you all ready? Just go straight from here down the mountain.
I don't wish to delay. I don't want to let time pass and have the possibility of the presence of the Heinen gain any rank.
Yeah. Let's do it.
All right, so you guys descend the mountain with these sacks over your shoulders. And
weight on those.
What's that?
The actual weight on those. Do we need to worry about that?
Yeah, no, just for this trip, you don't have to sweat it.
Okay.
I think their weight would be 2.
Okay, I can handle that.
They're pretty hefty, but yeah. So in another, it's downhill. It's another couple hours. By the time you get there, the sun is dropping kind of low. You realize that, so you can do this, and then if you go back to where Tapias and Armis are, it'll be dark by the time you get there, but you've done the route enough. And the skies have been clear. The nights have been relatively bright, so you should be able to do that after dark, unless you didn't want to. But it's still light out when you return to the ruin. And it is like, it feels very like ghost town empty. It feels like, given what's happened here recently and the amount of, remember when like Marion was doing the stealthy infiltration and all that, and there were people moving around and there was this sense of liveliness. It's just completely vacant, and there's no sign of, well, I guess whatever remains were there after, some of the cultists died are still there. So there's that. And Ilka shows you where Stonebreaker lived.
I have just one question: is remember when that cultist who had gotten all kind of spidery seemed to, when behind and plummeted, he lost his spidery limbs and kind of, I think he said he kind of wriggled and lay down on the,
Oh yeah,
on the side there. Is he still there? Is his body there? Is he, or
no,
did he get up?
he's gone.
He's not. Okay. So either somebody took him or he got up and walked away.
The hunter in the party could probably tell you.
Oh God. Oh boy. Yeah. What would I need to roll for that?
You're a hunter. You don't need to roll anything. It's not. This is like, for you, this is like, you hate reading. The idea of reading books is appalling to you, but you can read the landscape as if it was, if it was the most eloquent piece of prose. It's like an essay right there in front of you. You see kind of uneven. Oh, the bridge is gone. Or is the bridge? Wait, but there was still one rope, right?
One rope hanging.
Yeah. So that's all hanging there. So Taimi very easily can trace the from the way that it's moving, the cultist was clearly injured still. There are traces of blood here and there, and you managed to follow them. The tracks basically start here and go all along here, and then up this ledge, and then actually over this kind of railing, and then down the backside and across the mountain. So he went off in that direction.
Okay.
Hmm.
That sucks.
Well, I think there may have been others that we didn't necessarily fight.
That's
sure.
totally who was in that big building at the top where I'm pretty certain he slept.
Yeah,
So.
that's the place. And that's the first place to purify. It goes that, and then the campsite, and then the cliff.
Yeah.
So when you go up there into Stonebreaker's lair, there is a curtain hanging over that door. The door that Taimi saw him come out of is this one, and there's like a heavy curtain hung up there. And when you sweep that aside, you see there's a bed that's a pile of like deer skin and furs, just kind of like heaped up against one wall. And directly opposite the doorway is what is clearly a shrine to Vihainen, which is like there's a natural sort of an original piece of masonry that kind of juts out from the wall and creates a kind of shelf. And arranged on that shelf is like an arrangement of asymmetrical bits of like corroded and rusted metal. There's some stains on there that you're pretty sure are blood. There is a wooden a top, like a child's top, like a toy, a dark blue stone that's quite eye-catching, the size of it's like the size of a thumb, basically, kind of sitting there as well, and a little bird figurine carved of wood that comes apart in several pieces like a puzzle. So when you like put it all together, it makes a little thing. So that and the top are clearly like child's toys of some kind, and for some reason Stonebreaker put them on this shrine. The bird has some bloodstains on it.
Gross. I wish to touch nothing in here until we purify it.
Okay, so you've got the lichen bags of water, and Mirren has the shawl, right?
Yeah, so she's put it on, and guess she'll ask someone to help pour while she like holds her hands out. Does that sound
I'll do
okay?
that. Or for you.
Ilka actually would you can tell that Ilka really wants to do it.
Oh, sure.
If
Yeah,
you
let him do it.
He's very solemn about it, and he like hefts up the sack over his shoulder, and then yeah, he's kind of stone faced. He's like this is like, you know, this used to be his home, and clearly it's like, you know, traumatic what's happened to it, and he lets the water go out of the bag through Mirren's hands. And I think before you do that, actually, he takes the stuff off the shrine and puts it on the floor, like heaps it on the floor. And then you guys pour the water right onto that stuff. And then it sort of splashes down through, it goes through Mirren's hands, splashes down, and then just kind of like spreads across the floor. And then Tiny, you notice there's a point where the water, as it spreads, it kind of like seeps into a crack and starts to like there's a stone in the floor where it kind of seeps around it and then starts to dribble down through the cracks, like implying that there's like a void or a space under the floor that the water's leaking into.
Oh, well. Interesting. Let's it's 8:20. It's 8:22.
Yeah, great. You want to just
Let's purify these 3 locations, and then I really am curious whether there's like, I mean, there's so many buildings in this place we haven't been in. I really want to investigate this place, but
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so you want to get through the purifications.
Yeah, and then the Timey will feel way more comfortable, you know.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So, and that's just a quick montage. So that's done. And then you guys move on to the campfire place where I think there's a couple of dead cultists in that area, if memory serves.
Well, I mean, there's all the guys that were, you know, about to throw Armis off the cliff around where that.
Yeah. Yeah, wherever those. Yeah, so around that's there. So you guys do it there. Pour the water out. Here, Ilka says a few words. He didn't say anything up in Stonebreaker's place, but here he says some words about the waters of the mountain. You know, may the shadow never fall across this place again. And then you guys go down to the spot where the where Paiviki broke off that whole part of the mountain.
Yeah.
And there used to be this pole that was clearly some kind of like symbol of Vihainen. So you go down to that space left that by that, and that's where you pour the last one out.
Yeah.
You pour one out
Pour one out.
for Vihainen.
What was that? What was that? How that nursery rhyme or the story went with the Heinen that you toss him over? Isn't that a way to get rid of him?
Oh, like trickery.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there was something, John, at some point you mentioned there was like an old story from childhood where like that's how you got rid of him, was to throw him off a cliff, or I can't, because it was so great because it like, here we are on the side of a cliff, and turns out not such a great place for Vihainen to be hanging out.
Yeah, well, that's his shtick was. I think we came up, organically, that his shtick is throwing people off of cliffs.
Oh, that's his shtick, right.
Like in the story, someone basically tricked him into the thing that he does to other people.
Right. There you go. Yeah. Which is
Right.
exactly what you guys did. All right. So then the last shot is Mirren's hands. Mirren's got this beautiful red and blue piece of Enin fabric wrapped around her, holding her hands over the void there, and I guess maybe Paiviki is pouring that water down, and it just kind of drops down into the, it's caught by the wind and it's just turned into mist a certain distance down there.
Paiviki would also maybe take those bodies and carry them to the forest and just lay their heads against the trees.
Okay, great. Yeah. All right. We'll do a quick wrap up. Not a whole lot of class-based stuff, right? This was mainly just like an interstitial episode, so nobody solved or created problems with magic or solved a problem with physical prowess. I mean, nobody even rolled dice.
That's true.
Wouldn't the cleansing be some kind of problem to solve, or is that?
Oh no, for sure. Yeah, but
Okay.
no class-based problems were solved. So traits.
Tahimi was extra curious about that creature.
Oh yeah, for sure. Paiviki. Oh man, is Paiviki going to become humble?
Right.
Definitely not bold or boastful this time around.
I know. I might have to change a trait, but I'll probably think about that.
Yeah, give that some consideration. And then Donna, definitely respectful.
Yeah, I think
For sure.
so.
Yeah, you super sugar-coated that Father Ilka stuff.
All right. And then, did you make an exciting discovery? You visited the village of Hisi. Did you overcome a difficult obstacle? I would say that it wasn't a difficult obstacle, but I think that the cleansing of this place is worth an XP. So I'm definitely gonna give you an XP for that. I mean, to choose to go to the Hisi and see what was up in them, and then through them find out how to do it, and then to do it, I think that's definitely worth an XP. The memorable booty is sacks full of. I'm not going to give you an XP for it, but the memorable booty would be fungus sacks full of water.
Yeah. That you can eat.
edible fungus sacks. All right.
Remain to be seen if we can digest it.
Donna, did you want to change a trait, or are you going to think about that also?
I think I have to I have to try to role play it, but I do want to
Eventually.
eventually.
Yeah, you didn't get much opportunity this time.
What were you talking about, Donna?
Oh, I want to get rid of ruthless, but I wanted to try a different attribute. Like envious was my thought, but I
Yeah.
guess it could be anything. If
Yeah,
I,
there's like 50 different ones to choose from there. So
Right.
I mean,
Are
there's
you
probably. Sorry, go ahead, John.
Are you looking at the negative ones?
yeah, as a lawful, I feel like she would replace a vice.
But you want her to stay lawful and not good?
Not necessarily.
You could just go triple good.
I know I could. It would fit.
Yeah, I think Marin's been behaving pretty
Good.
kindly. Yeah, very,
Yeah.
very, yeah.
I mean, that means she would be able to use that cloak though, right?
Who knows what that means?
Oh,
Well,
okay.
maybe she would know. No, I believe. Oh man, that's going way back to the River Kings. River Kings stash. You know what? Just give me a second. I'm going to actually look up the specifics on that. I think that at this point you would have a sense that we would have a sense of what is called for with that thing.
Okay.
Just got to open the InDesign document on that. All right. All the way back to the River King. Okay, here we are. Sorry, this is taking me longer than it should. Here we go. Consume.
Wow. This is like session like 18, 17. 17 is when Paiviki jumps on the giant spider. Wow.
Yeah, so Miran has the sense that it would still work.
Well,
So if you wanted to become good, you wouldn't compromise that.
so if we level up on level 7, then we get 2 points of on 2 different stats.
Mark
is that
2
right?
different abilities of your choice except for luck.
Yeah.
You can't do that anyway. Increase your maximum HP by 1 roll of your hit die plus your con modifier.
And what should Paiviki roll?
As a fighter, you do 1 step toward your new class, so you roll a d8 now.
Okay. And do I also get a +1 to a stat for being a human, or not so much?
Yeah, that's the rule that we're playing with.
Okay.
Okay, can I change my trait then to
Yeah.
honest? And then I'll
Yeah,
be good.
here we go. We got a goodie.
All good. Good.
So do they need to be 3 different stats then?
Is that how that works?
No, you can actually double up on that one because the human one is any stat you want.
Okay.
But the level up one is 2 different ones, so you could double up on one of those.
Okay. Woohoo.
Yeah, I think I'm really leaning towards the human one being take +1 forward when you act on a vice, which you'd lose that perk, and if you were all good, you'd get no benefit at all. But I kind of like that, and I like what it says about the sort of being seduced by darker emotions or whatever. Like to be good, you've just got to be good. Like there's no reward for it.
Yeah, that's real light side, dark side of the force stuff.
I just kind of like it. I mean, I know a lot of people won't like that, but I'm leaning that way.
Yeah.
What do you think? Hit us up in the comments below.
Thanks, John, for holding that line.
Listen, we got to get those subscribers.
I gotta pay you guys. I need those. Yeah. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Jason.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Jason.
That was fun.
Yeah, I did not. Okay, so I actually did the work. That village existed and those creatures existed. Like all that was not stuff I made up on the spot. I wrote that all up months ago.
Yeah.
Never thought you were gonna go there, and then you did. So that was wild to see. I was like, oh, they're gonna see the fungus carpet. I didn't think that was gonna happen. Yeah. All right.
Very cool.
That was a blast. Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. We'll see you in a couple weeks.
Thanks, guys.